There are some stories that dig deep into your soul and leave a mark that never really fades, even after the screen goes black. The feeling lingers, and before you know it, you might find your eyes welling up without even realizing why. This is a story about one such extraordinary and emotional journey. Our story kicks off by introducing us to two partners, Chang-bok and Tae-in. On the surface, they look like simple egg vendors, driving around in a humble van selling crates of eggs. After a long day, they drive past a quiet, scenic village and arrive at a secluded, desolate house. Once inside, the vibe changes completely. They swap their casual clothes for work gear, preparing for a very specific kind of job. We immediately see a man hanging from the ceiling, badly beaten. Shortly after, the notorious gangster Kim arrives. Outside, Tae-in is diligently cooking ramen for Kim. Afterward, Tae-in sits in Kim's luxury car and lights his cigarette, trying to look cool and mimic the gangster's swagger. Chang-bok catches him and warns him, "Don't dream of a life you can't afford. Let's just do the job we came for and get out." They go back inside and find that the body has already been eliminated. This is where we learn their true trade. They aren't killers, they are professional cleaners. They specialize in disposing of bodies and scrubbing crime scenes until no evidence remains. Then, Kim offers Chang-bok a side hustle. He needs them to babysit someone for a few days. Chang-bok is hesitant at first, but when Kim flashes a massive wad of cash, greed takes over and he agrees. Kim tips them well, and we learn something important here. Tae-in cannot speak. However, he's a proud guy who hates asking for pity or charity. They take the body deep into the woods. Chang-bok, who is a devout Christian, actually says a prayer for the deceased soul before burying him. With the job done, they head home. Tae-in lives deep in the countryside, so Chang-bok drops him off halfway. Under a tree, an old lady sells vegetables. Tae-in kindly gives her a few eggs before hopping on his bicycle to ride the rest of the way. By the time he gets home, night has fallen, and he crashes out exhausted. The next day, Chang-bok and Tae-in head to the hotel for the babysitting gig. Tae-in brings a baseball bat, expecting a tough guy. But when they open the hotel room door, they're confused. It looks like a kid's playroom. Suddenly, a little girl wearing a rabbit mask pops out behind the sofa. The two men are stunned. They never signed up to watch a child. Chang-bok calls Kim and finds out this is a kidnapping for ransom. The plan was to grab a boy, but the kidnappers messed up and grabbed this girl, Cho-hee, instead. Because of the mix-up, her father is stalling on the ransom. Chang-bok is furious, ranting, "Boy or girl, a child is a child. What kind of parents are these?" They argue about where to keep her for 2 days. Chang-bok's place is too busy, so he guilts Tae-in into taking her to his isolated house. He uses their history, how he practically raised Tae-in, to emotionally blackmail him into agreeing. As they drive her away, Cho-hee asks, "Am I going to die?" Chang-bok lies, saying he's just a friend of her dad's and she'll go home once her dad drops off some things. Cho-hee sharply asks, "Are you taking money from my dad?" She's smart. She knows exactly what's happening. Chang-bok drops them off at the spot where Tae-in keeps his bike. Tae-in puts Cho-hee on the back and pedals home. They pass the old vegetable seller again, and Cho-hee suddenly jumps off and hugs the woman, looking for help. The old lady, thinking Cho-hee is Tae-in's sister, just tells her to be good and go home with her brother. Tae-in puts her back on the bike, but this time ties him to him so she can't jump. Tae-in's house is basically a shack, looking more like a garbage dump than a home. Inside, Cho-hee sees another little girl, dirty and younger than her. Cho-hee thinks this is another victim, but it turns out to be Tae-in's little sister, Moon. Before Cho-hee can ask questions, Tae-in collapses on the floor to sleep. Moon curls up next to her brother like he's a giant pillow. Cho-hee stays awake, watching them. The next morning, Cho-hee watches Tae-in washing up outside. She wakes Moon and asks, "Is that guy really your brother?" Moon nods. Meanwhile, Chang-bok texts Tae-in, "Be at the hideout by 11 a.m., new job." He tells Tae-in to lock Cho-hee in the room, but Tae-in can't lock his own sister in, so he ends up taking Cho-hee with him to the job site. When they arrive, the vibe is wrong. They find their employer, Kim, hanging upside down, dead. Tae-in slaps the body in frustration. It turns out Kim was doing deals behind his boss's back, so the boss took him out. Crucially, the boss didn't know about the kidnapping. When Chang-bok confesses, the boss says, "My gang had nothing to do with this. Dump the girl back where you found her." Tae-in and Chang-bok are now panic-stricken. They dispose of Kim's body while Cho-hee watches. Surprisingly, she isn't scared. She even helps them cover the grave. They go back to the hotel to meet the guys who actually snatched Cho-hee on Kim's orders. Chang-bok tries to hand her over, saying, "We're out, you take her." But as the men talk, it becomes clear they are human traffickers. They plan to sell her off. They tell Chang-bok, "Just keep her, we'll split the ransom from her dad." Reluctantly, Chang-bok agrees to keep her a bit longer. To speed things up, Tae-in goes to a store and buys crayons and a sketchbook. He has Cho-hee write a ransom note. "Send $200,000 to get me back." Moon asks, "What is ransom?" Cho-hee explains, "Bad men took me. Money makes them let me go." Cho-hee then commands Moon to draw on paper, not the floor, warning her, "Your brother will get mad." Tae-in delivers the letter to the thugs so they can send it to the father. That night, Tae-in comes home with food. Cho-hee sets up a small table and tells Moon, "We eat when your brother gets here. Let me teach you how to fold clothes." They clean the messy house together. When Tae-in comes out after showering, he is shocked. The trash heap of a home is spotless and organized. Cho-hee has transformed the place. When they eat, Cho-hee feeds Moon like a big sister. Tae-in watches this, and for the first time, he feels a sense of warmth and family. Later, Cho-hee wakes Tae-in up claiming she needs the bathroom. He takes her to the outhouse with a flashlight and claps his hands outside so she knows he's there and not peeking. This becomes their routine. Days pass, no word from the father. Tae-in starts taking Cho-hee to work with him every day. She becomes part of their lives, cleaning, doing laundry, playing with Moon. They are almost happy. 4 more days pass. Silence from the parents. Chang-bok comes up with a new plan. He arrives with ice cream and a camera. He wants to take a proof-of-life photo to pressure the dad. The two men are clueless with the camera, so Cho-hee actually teaches them how to use it. She poses, and Chang-bok tells her, "Look sadder." Just then, the thugs call. The dad agreed to pay. Chang-bok has to go pick up the cash alone. He tells Tae-in, "If I don't call by noon tomorrow, assume he didn't pay. Take the girl to this specific address." It's the address of the traffickers. The next day, Chang-bok retrieves the bag of money. He's walking away, rich and relieved, but paranoia sets in. He thinks he's being followed. It's just his imagination, but he suffers a massive panic attack. He stumbles, falls down a steep flight of stairs, and cracks his head open. He dies there, alone, clutching the money. Tae-in waits. The phone never rings. Assuming the deal failed, Tae-in follows the instructions. He puts Cho-hee in her school uniform and bikes her to the address. It's a shady facility. He sees a man scrubbing a small boy and other children locked up. These are child traffickers. Cho-hee looks at Tae-in with pleading eyes. Tae-in hardens his heart, leaves her there, and walks away. But he can't stop looking back. Her gaze haunts him. He gets home and Moon asks, "Where is Big Sister? Where did you leave her?" Tae-in sits in silence, crushed by guilt. Suddenly, his conscience snaps. He realizes he made a horrific mistake. He puts on Kim's expensive suit, grabs his bike, and pedals like a madman back to the facility. He intercepts the trafficker's van. He blocks the road, jumps into the vehicle, and fights the driver brutally. He manages to throw the guy out, puts his bike in the back, and drives the van away. He parks the van in a market and rushes Cho-hee home. She's groggy. They had drugged her. Back at the house, Tae-in runs to the pharmacy to get medicine for Cho-hee. While he's gone, Moon tries to play with Cho-hee. Cho-hee, realizing the door is unlocked, tricks Moon into playing hide-and-seek. While Moon counts, Cho-hee runs away. Tae-in returns to an empty room. He panics, searching the fields with a flashlight. Cho-hee finds a man and begs for help, but realizes the man has bad intentions, so she runs again. Eventually, Tae-in finds her. She's injured her foot. This time, she doesn't run. She lets him take her hand and lead her back home. However, the man she approached earlier called the police, reporting a lost schoolgirl. A female officer traces the area to Tae-in's house. She arrives while Tae-in is standing by the outhouse, clapping. Cho-hee is inside. The officer gets suspicious. Cho-hee steps out. A violent struggle breaks out between Tae-in and the officer. In the chaos, the officer gets hit hard on the head and goes limp. Tae-in thinks he killed her. He cries in terror. Cho-hee, shockingly calm, signals him to bury the body. They bury the officer in a shallow grave near the house, leaving her face slightly exposed. Tae-in is traumatized and can't sleep. The next morning, the thugs, who wanted the ransom cut, find out about the mess and come looking for Tae-in. They ask the old vegetable seller for directions. Tae-in knows the walls are closing in. He sees Cho-hee's notebook and decides he has to do the right thing. He tells her to get ready for school. He leaves Moon sleeping and takes Cho-hee on his bike. Shortly after they leave, the thugs arrive at the house. They find Moon alone. Since Cho-hee is gone, they decide to kidnap Moon instead. They lure her with candy and she goes with them. As they leave, they walk past the shallow grave. The dead police officer's hand twitches. She grabs the ankle of one of the thugs. They freak out, seeing a corpse move. They drop Moon and run for their lives. Moon just sits there eating her candy as the officer pulls herself out of the dirt. Tae-in rides all the way to the city and drops Cho-hee off at her elementary school. He watches her walk towards the gate. She spots her teacher. Tae-in, having bonded with her, feels a heartbreaking mix of relief and sadness. He loves her like a sister now. But Cho-hee runs to the teacher and points back at him. The teacher asks, "Who is that man?" Cho-hee looks directly at him and says, "That's the man who kidnapped me." Tae-in's world shatters. The illusion of family is broken. He realizes to her he was never a brother. He was always just a captor. Without a word, he turns and sprints away, running for his life, tears streaming down his face, wondering how he will ever explain this to Moon. And that is where the movie ends. It's an open ending. Does Tae-in get caught? Does he reunite with Moon? The director leaves that to our imagination. The real twist here is Cho-hee. While it looked like she was bonding with them, she was actually in survival mode the whole time. She was an incredibly smart girl who realized that playing house and being useful was the only way to keep them from hurting her. She manipulated the situation to survive until she saw a real chance for rescue. What do you guys think? Was she pretending the whole time, or did she care for them a little bit? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this story, smash that like button and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay safe.